Hello, welcome back to Raising Your Host Mama. My name is Heather and I am going to share with you what my big family is reading this week. And the reason I'm doing this is to give you a little peek into how our large family reads during the summer. Now, as I said in my previous video, giving you a look into our reading week, I have bookworms. I have a lot of bookworms. I love books and my kids love books, and I can tell you all about how we got there, but all of my kids love books, even those who find it hard to read. And so I'm going to share what they're doing, what they're reading this week, and then at the end of the video I'll share what I'm hoping to touch on this week in my reading. So let's dive in. I think last time I did youngest to oldest, so this time I'm going to do oldest to youngest. Now my oldest is 16 and she is actually spending the week trying to catch up on some of her school books that she did not finish. If you don't know, we're homeschoolers. We use Charlotte Mason method, which means we use a lot of real books, not textbooks. And so she has a few that she got behind on, and I've been letting her slowly work on those through the summer. And so that is her priority. So when I asked her the question, what are you reading this week? She said, I'm reading Culinary Reactions. I'm going to finish that. And it's a great look at how the things we do every day in the kitchen, how they actually are chemistry. And so that was a supplement to her chemistry school this year. Next up is my 14-year-old. She is going through all the Melanie Dickerson books and absolutely loving it. She's a little bit obsessed. Melanie Dickerson is a Christian fairy tale author, and she has a lot of Christian themes in her stories. They're all clean, no spice, no swears, no anything like that. And this particular book and the series she's trying to go through is the same one that I'm reading through, which is the Hagenheim series, and they're all like distantly related, but you can read them as standalones. And so this one is The Warrior Maiden, and this is actually my favorite Melanie Dickerson. This is a Mulan retelling, and it's a very interesting take in that her father is a soldier who had an affair basically out in the East, brought her home with him, and now she's living with his wife, and he passes away. They're trying to keep their land. It's you got a lot of the feudal state going on, and different things, and it was just very interesting. Also ties in things about like a healer, how her mom's a healer, and how they sometimes the church would see that as witchcraft, and just a lot of different things going on like that. But I really love it. I love Mulan stories. And so my daughter, this is my second daughter to read this book, and she's loving it as well. Next, my 12-and-a-half-year-old is reading Sweet Home Alaska, and this is a reread for her. Our family absolutely adores this book. We've listened to it on audiobook twice. Think Little House on the Prairie, but in the 1930s with Alaska. And so you have a young girl and her family who get into one of Roosevelt's programs where they were basically sending homesteaders up to populate Alaska, and you get all the trials and tribulations and things that go along with it in a slightly more modern setting than Little House on the Prairie. But Sweet Home Alaska is very cute, very sweet, very funny. There's just a lot of really good messages in it that we talk about a lot as a family since we've read it so many times. My kids always go back to it, and it's a wonderful reread. My almost 11-year-old read Harlow Morgan in the Sky City by Lindsay Llewellyn, which if you've been around here, you know I've been talking about this a lot. Absolutely love this. It just came out, I think, in February maybe. Lindsay Llewellyn is another Christian author, Christian author, and she does some amazing fantasy and sci-fi books. This is a steampunk adventure. I still don't know what steampunk means, but it's a fantasy where there is a young girl, Harlow Morgan, and her sister Briar. And then there are some people from a foreign land who are trying to find some hidden relics, we shall say, in their very scientific, progressive moving world and country, but where magic has kind of been outlawed and is just not a big deal, and they are finding these magical relics which are important, and the people from the other country are telling them about them, and they go on an adventure to try to find them all, and a lot of different things ensue. My daughter absolutely loved it. She flew through it in a matter of like 3 days. She got about halfway through and she's like, this is weird, but I love it. And then when she finished it, she was like, that was so weird, but it was so good. And she talked to me about a lot of the different topics that she really liked. If you are really like anti-magic, then this may not be for you, but I think this does a really good job because it's light magic. That is, light is going to trump Darkness. That's how Lindsay Llewellyn does it. And it is very Christian focused without using Christian words necessarily. And then my 8-year-old is still working through Heartwood Hotel, where you have Mona Mouse who lives in a hotel in a tree called Heartwood Hotel. And you have, they take place at different seasons. This one is Family Forever. I think it's the newest one, maybe. And this one we have, let's see here, I don't even know what's going on. Oh, there's a treasure hunt in this one. And so there's a lot going on with it, and it's very sweet, very innocent. There are some really cute little illustrations throughout all of these books. They're all very sweet, innocent, lots of fun. And then my 6-year-old, I asked her, well, what are you reading right now? Because she likes to pick up books and pretend to read them. She can only read, you know, like kind of Bob books right now. And she likes to be read to, but I asked her to give me what she got from the library. So she got Outfoxed, which is about a fox who gets tricked by this goose, I believe. And so this is not my kind of picture book, but she really liked it and thought it was fun. Also, Sharkfish's Train. I read this at the library to the kids, and apparently it came home with us for the week. It is so stupid. It is so dumb, but she liked it. My son liked it. Basically, you have all these different events that the shark and the train are competing against. So like the shark can hot air balloon better than a train, and the train can roast marshmallows better than the shark because he gets it all wet. And it was just dumb and silly, but it made them laugh, so she enjoyed it. My son, he also gets books from the library, but he loves books, and he's at a point where sometimes he'll make up a story while he reads, and sometimes he just wants people to read. Actually, all the time he wants people to read to him. He's 3, almost 4, and so just yesterday I read to him The Day the Goose Got Loose, which is a Stephen Kellogg book. Stephen Kellogg art is one that I really enjoy. He has some weird looking people in my opinion, but it's so colorful, so vibrant, and it always attracts kids. And this is actually left over from when I taught kindergarten. The kids always love it. It's just silly hijinks of the goose gets loose, and then they make the sheep go into town, and the goose eats all the chicken's food, and all these different things that happen when the goose got loose. It's just fun, silly, and it has a rhyming pattern to it. And then for my, I don't know, she's 1 and some change. She brought me this book today to read. She loves books, and she will pick up any book. She actually likes to destroy all the books on my personal shelf and bring them to me. But Eric Carle is always a winner, so we have almost all the Eric Carle books in board book. I think this is actually from a set that I picked up at a Goodwill one day when we were out, and I was like, I just need something to entertain her in the car. Actually, not her, it was her brother when I bought them. And so I purchased those, and then, ants are getting me. And she just likes to sit and read. But Eric Carle books pictures are really great because they're those collaged style artwork, and it's just really beautiful, fun, simple. She loves books. She will sit and listen to books quite regularly. And then that brings me to my set. Now, if you saw my TBR, then you know I have like an insane amount of books. In the last 3 days, I have finished 5 different books, 3 of them physical eyeballs on the page books. So clearly digging deep into my summer reading. And so I have several books here, and then I have my audiobooks as well. So this week I'm hoping to do my reread of Hunt of Calypso finally. I'm very into a piratey theme right now. I just finished a pirate book, and it was wonderful, pirate-esque book. I love Hunt of Calypso, I really did, and so I'm excited to dive into this. I bought this from the author, Erin Phillips, which is phenomenal, and so I got this cute little artwork with it, and sticker, and so I'm excited to read it. I'm going to tab it all up with all my favorite quotes, because when I read it the first time I did a digital, and I'm not good at marking digital, so I'm going to read this. This is over 400 pages, but I think the first time I read it in 2 or 3 days. It's a phenomenal story following Count of Monte Cristo. This is book 2. Book 1, you get kind of all the setup of it. In book 2, it takes a different, that hurt. It takes a different route, and you follow the main characters of the first book, Eden and Hunter, and you see what has happened at that major cliffhanger of book 1, and their connection to each other is more apparent in this book, and everything kind of comes together, and then you're leading up towards the big end of the Count of Monte Cristo, which is going to happen in book 3, which is Revenge of the Venus, which I think is set to come out next year. And so I'm excited to reread this. I also am hoping, I have been saving all my best, my most excited for books to the end of the month, like a dessert for the month. Like if I read, if I read the ones I don't like as much, then I can read these at the end. And I don't know. It was actually working. It was very motivating because it was like, okay, I really want to read this, but that one is so shiny and new. Anyways, I digress. But I'm doing it opposite this month. I'm reading the ones I really love, and I made a list of order of priority of how I want to read them. So I'm going to read The Last Wayfinder by Ellen McGinty. Ellen McGinty's Saints and Monsters was my favorite book last year, so I have been dying to read this since I saw that it was coming. And it's been sitting on my shelf waiting for July, because this is the July book of the month for Chantel Reads All Day Indie Book Club Challenge. That was a lot of words. Link it below. And so I'm very excited to read it. This is super beautiful. If you haven't seen my other videos, look at this. So we've got this gorgeous dust cover, but look underneath. It's beautiful. I'm so excited to read this. It takes place in the same world as Saints and Monsters, but in a different kingdom with a totally different characters and everything. And so I'm excited to read that. And then I'm going to hopefully make more of a dent on How Should We Then Live. I don't know what I thought I was getting into with this book, but it is not what I thought. I feel like I'm getting a big art history lesson, and that's okay. I didn't do art history really in school, and so it is interesting. Goodness, these ants. Sorry. And that's interesting, and I like seeing the kind of how the impact on culture and the history of everything going around, but it was not what I expected, and so it's very slow going with this. I'm also hoping to finally pick up, seriously? So hot, and this is wet. I always say it the wrong way. What is it? The Mill on the Floss. I always want to say the floss on the mill. The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. I'll just show you that. And I still have no clue what it's about. It opened up, and you have like the mill, and you have like, what is it called? The Boy and the Girl is the first chapter. I don't know. And you follow kind of so you have like different books. The first one is The Boy and Girl. I don't really know what's going on. There's a brother and there was a sister, and they were trying to find a better education for the sister. So I don't know where it's gonna go. We'll see. And now I'm gonna pop up pictures here because these are my digital books, but I am listening to Rebellion 1776 by Lori Halse Anderson. We really love her other Revolutionary War set middle grade books, Seeds of America and Fever 1793. I started listening to it this morning on my walk. Rebellion 1776 is kind of set in Boston. You're following a young servant girl who has had smallpox, lost half her family to smallpox, and it opens with Boston being surrounded by the Patriots. And she is a Patriot, but she's working for a loyalist, and then things get a little haywire, and all of that is going on. And so I don't really know where it's gonna go. I'm not gonna lie, it's not quite as compelling as the other books that I read about her, but it's getting there. And that's like about an hour and a half into it, so we'll see. I'm also listening to Twisted Innocence, which is the third book in the Moonlighters series by Terry Blackstock. This is following a ridiculous storyline, ridiculous, but it's a thriller, and I'm reading it for Private Eye July, because you have basically this family who has had an insane amount of tragedies happen to them, and I think I'm starting to see why, but no spoilers because this is book 3. But a whole bunch of crazy things happen. There's a friend of the family who is a private eye, and he ends up hiring the sisters and his girlfriend, his brother's fiance for being private eyes, and supplementing and helping him. And then there was a huge cliffhanger at the end of book 2, and book 3 just whew. So I'm going to continue that. And then another book I have for Private Eye July is 2 Seconds Too Late, and I don't remember anything about it. I think it was just me looking for some private eye books in general, not necessarily following the prompts for Private Eye July, but just, you know, what's a good one. So we'll see if I like that. And then I have a digital book to read called The Last Policeman, and this was based on the Private Eye July prompts, because there was one that was like sci-fi private eye, and this is a dystopian private eye. So The Last Policeman, I'm hoping to at least read some of it. I don't know if it's may not be my thing because I don't know the author. I don't know anything about it other than it's a dystopian. The world is ending and he's trying to solve one last crime before the world ends. Like there's a meteor coming, I think is what it said, and there's been a murder and he's trying to solve it. I don't know. It sounds interesting. I like dystopian books. I like sci-fi. I like thrillers. I mean, it has the potential, right? So that is what I'm hoping to touch on this week. I don't know how many of those I'll finish, but that's what I'm hoping to read. So that's what my family and I are reading. Let me know what you're reading this week. Let me know if you've read any of those audio digital books that I have no clue what's going on. If you could give me a clue and say, yes, you're gonna love it, or that might not be the book for you, but let me know. I'll probably still give it a try anyway. And thank you so much for watching and have a blessed day.